Well, Oliver, first let me tell you what's in the rescue package for you. Right now, the credit markets are frozen up. And what that means as a practical matter is that small businesses and some large businesses just can't get loans. It means that they can't make payroll. If they can't make payroll, then they may end up having to shut their people off. And if you imagine just one company trying to deal with that, now imagine 1 million companies all across the country. So it could end up having an adverse effect on everybody. Action. Now, I've got to correct a little bit of sentiment, surprisingly. Let's first of all understand that this was the deregulation. As March bragged about the fact that he is a deregulator. That we've got a subprime lending crisis, told them this is something we have to deal with, and nobody did anything about it. A year ago, I went to Wall Street and said we've got to re-regulate, and nothing happened. And Senator Mccain had said we should keep on deregulating because that's how the free enterprise system works. Now, with respect to Fannie Mae, what Senator McCain didn't mention is the fact that this bill that he talked about wasn't his own bill. He jumped on it a year after it had been introduced, and it never got passed. And I never promoted Fannie Mae. In fact, Senator McCain's campaign chairman's firm was a lobbyist on behalf of Fannie Mae, not me. So, but look, you're not interested in hearing politicians pointing fingers. What you're interested in is trying to figure out how is this going to impact you. This is not the end of the process. This is the beginning of the process. And that's why it's going to be so important for us to work with homeowners to make sure that they can stay in their homes. The Secretary already has the power to do that in the rescue package, but it hasn't been exercised yet. And the next president has to make sure that the next Treasury Secretary is thinking about how to strengthen you as a home buyer, you as a homeowner, and not simply think about bailing out banks on Wall Street.
Senator Obama, time for discussion. Are you saying to the other members of the American audience that the American economy is much worse before it gets better, and they ought to be prepared for that?
No. I am confident about the American economy. But we are going to have some leadership that not only sets out much better regulations for the financial system. The problem is we still have a archaic 20th century regulatory system for 21st century financial markets. We're going to have to coordinate with other countries to make sure that whatever actions we take work. But most importantly, we're going to have to help ordinary families be able to stay in their homes, make sure that they can pay their bills, deal with issues like health care and energy. And we're going to have to change the culture in Washington so that lobbyists and special interests aren't driving the process and your voices aren't being drowned out.
Senator McCain, in all candor, do you think the economy is going to get worse before it gets better?
I think it depends on what we do. I think if we act effectively, if we stabilize the housing market, which I believe we can, if we go out and buy up these bad loans so that people can have a new mortgage at the new value of their home, I think if we get rid of the cronyism and special interest influence in Washington so we can act more effectively, my friend, I'd like you to see the letter that a group of senators and I wrote warning exactly of this crisis. Senator Obama's name was not on that letter. The point is that we can fix our economy. Americans, workers, are the best in the world. They're the fundamental aspect of America's economy. They're the most innovative. They're the best. We're the best exporters. We're the best importers. They're most effective. They are the best workers in the world, and we got to give them a chance. We got to give them a chance to do their best again. And they are the innocent bystanders here in what is the biggest financial crisis and challenge of our time. We can do it.
Thank you, Senator McCain. We're going to continue over in Section F, as it turns out. Senator Obama to Finch. To race it.
With our money, when both got us into this global economic crisis.
Well, look, I understand your frustration and your cynicism, because while you've been carrying out your responsibilities, most of the people here, you've got a family budget. If less money's coming in, you end up making cuts. Maybe you don't go out to dinner as much. Maybe you put off buying a new car. That's not what happens in Washington. And you're right. There's a lot of blame to go around. But I think it's important just to remember a little bit of history. When George Bush came into office, we had surpluses. And now we have a $500 billion deficit annually. When George Bush came into office, our debt, national debt, was around $5 trillion. It's now over $10 trillion. We've almost doubled it. And so, while it's true that nobody's completely innocent here, we have had, over the last 8 years, the biggest increases in deficit spending and national debt in our history.